I'll let you know before you try to go. Now this is my own show. Not a script or flip could make me stop, so just behave. I mean, there's no escape. Let's hope you make that drop, because you really don't want to take me off. And oh, what fun. I will tell you what to do and you will get it done. And oh, don't run. You'll find your nightmare here has only just begun. Welcome to my horror show. Now it's out in 3D. Oh, I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. Are you reading the walls? Did you get my clues? There's a debt to repay for now. You'll do.
Welcome to the Dummies of Horror, the bi-weekly horror show that teaches a thing or two to the dumbest guy about the genre we all love, horror movies. And I'm your host, Tim Davis. Coming back is the guy we call Mushroom. What's up, brother?
Hello.
Dude.
What?
It has been one hell of a journey, but we're slowly coming to the end, man. The Decades of Horror is slowly coming to the end. We're at the second last episode.
Yeah.
So
wait, is this the last versus week?
Before we get to the grand final,
the big finale?
Yeah, big finale's next episode, but we're here with the 80s versus the 60s for the last spot in. Damn!
Nice.
Damn! Yeah, dude.
Yeah, we watched a lot of movies.
We did.
Me.
Dude, there's a little...
But you also watched a lot of movies.
There's a little part of me that's excited to get back into just doing what I want to do, you know?
Me too. I gotta fucking catch up on this shit. Because normally, like, I gotta catch up on 2024s, for one.
Yeah.
And normally it's just like, hey, you gotta watch this movie or maybe this movie and another movie in these 2 weeks. Can you manage that? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not like fucking 6 movies.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, can you kind of get the vibe of a decade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in 3 movies.
Watching a bunch of movies in like 3 to 6 movies.
I know.
From each decade.
And there's part of me
like,
that...
oh, yeah, sure.
There's part of me that I wish we went deeper into this, but...
Me too. Like, I'd kind of love to just go fucking year by year.
Oh, dude, we.
But that's us done for the rest of, as long as we do the podcast.
That's
I think.
for us for eternity. That's crazy. In saying that, breaking news to everyone: when we do finish up with the Decades of Horror, and we come up with a winner, which decade we think is the best decade, I am then going to spend a long time, but going year by year and determining which is the best year of the best decade.
We could do that.
It will take me years to complete, but I'm on a journey and I'm going to find out which is the best year of the best decade, in our opinion.
Ooh. Okay.
Dude,
Are we doing that or are you doing that on Patreon?
I'm going to do it, but you are more than welcome.
We'll see.
And I don't know where. I don't know where I'm going to put it. If it's going to be Patreon or... I don't know. Early plans...
Extra main show.
Yeah, early plans yet, but we will be continuing... Well, I will be. I don't know about you.
Gotta get that snake.
You always have to show me that fucking anaconda cup that you drink out of. This show isn't on YouTube, so the people have no idea why I'm laughing.
Yeah, if you don't know, I just have this severely stretched out Redbubble John Voight in anaconda cup, where he's making that face that they hold on for like, I don't know, about 5 seconds too long, where it's just like...
It's a I'll give you, it's a glorious cup. It is.
It's so good.
But I love it how you...
My favorite thing is just how fucking, like, the pictures, like, feels warped.
Yeah, because it's stretched too much.
Yeah, it feels like someone's, like, Feels like a kid's first attempt at like a desktop background in like Windows 95. When they put the stretch one on, they're like, well, I wanted to make it fit the whole screen, and then they like shut their game down and they're like, it's just like that looking at you.
You and fucking Anaconda, it just amuses the hell out of me. Oh, speaking about
Best
Anaconda,
movie of all time.
Speaking about Anaconda,
Yeah.
I haven't seen this yet, but I was on Bloody Disgusting the other day, and apparently there is a Chinese remake of Anaconda, and trailers are now up.
Oh, like proper, like...
Yeah, and the still that I got actually looked pretty decent. It was some Chinaman getting eaten by the anaconda. I completely forgot to check it out until you reminded me. But
Okay.
if that's coming out, we should definitely watch China's version of Anaconda.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That'd be
Be
great.
so down.
Anyway, yeah, so 80s versus 60s on this episode. I've got movies. Mushroom has movies. We've got the whole fucking shebang of this podcast. I've got new release movies to talk about. We've got a question to talk about. It's a whole big thing.
It's the format you know and love.
It is. Dude, I'm on the mend right now.
What's wrong, bro? What happened?
I'm 36 years of age, right?
Old man Tim.
And I spent the last weekend in mosh pits for about 7 hours.
You're too old for that, brother.
Dude, man, my fucking neck was killing me the next day. So I went to a music festival.
If you could see him now, he looks like a corpse grinder.
If you have any idea whose Corpse Grinder is.
He got big neck.
So Knotfest happened here in Australia on the weekend. Slipknot's music festival. It's a heavy metal music festival for people that don't understand. Pantera was the headline. Pantera, Disturbed, Lamb of God, The Who, that Mongolian throat singing band. Who else is there? Hailstorm, Asking Alexandria, Skindred, who fucking killed it.
Parrot.
King Parrot, which we didn't even see. We weren't even there yet. So we spent most of the day, the majority of the day, in mosh pits. And, my body ain't used to that type of shit.
What'd you do, Tim? You can't even dance with your mother-in-law.
No, my grandmother-in-law.
Your grandmother-in-law.
That's healed now. My dick is all healed. Thank fuck for that. I was running around in circle pits. So, do you want to know something that happened?
I always want to know stuff that happens, man.
So
I'm a facts-orientated kind of gentleman.
I'm glad to hear that. So, Lamb of God. If you like heavy metal, you probably know who Lamb of God are. If you don't, then go and check them out. They're great. They're really heavy metal.
Quite.
They came on, and I've seen Lamb of God multiple times. I remember one of the last times I did see them. I basically got caught in the wall. You know, the where both sides of the crowd run into each other.
Got caught in a mosh?
Yeah. I got caught in that, kind of thrown upside down, landed on my head. It was good fun.
Nice.
That's what mosh pits are all about. They're known for their crazy mosh pits.
Yeah, for sure.
This time was probably the most insane mosh pit I've ever been in.
The kids are crazy these days.
Dude, it was fucking going off. Like, it was crowded like fucking crazy. It was brutal. It was a brutal mosh pit. Like, the mosh pit was enormous. Fucking huge. Anyway, I'm there with my wife and two of our friends, and my wife is just getting fucking squashed the fuck up. Because she's only small. She's only like 5 foot fuck all. And we're there, and I'm trying to go into the mosh pits, trying to go into the circle pit and all that stuff and have fun. And I came out of it, and then I just hear, like, the dude next to me just yells, "Stop!" And I look down, and, like, by my feet, there's a dude having a seizure.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm, like, pushing people away, trying to help this dude out. So is this other guy and a few other people. And then everyone starts to notice. So everyone else is helping. We're all trying to make room for this dude who's having a seizure. And then we started yelling at Lamb of God to stop playing. Like, holding up the fucking...
Did they?
Well, it took him a while, but eventually Randy looked over at us because we were pretty close to the stage.
Yeah.
And the singer looked at us and he's like with a puzzled look on his face. And he's like, stop? And we're like, yeah, stop. So he tells the band to stop. And he's like... And we're there fucking calling medics and all that stuff. And then someone must have told Randy what was happening. And Randy, the singer of Lamb of God, over the microphones yells, someone's having a seizure, just give us time, thank you for being cool, all this stuff. The medics come over, and like this is happening like by my feet. I'm like right next to it.
Yeah.
And I hear the medics say he's not breathing. I'm like, oh, fuck, shit. And at that point, because the mosh pit was that insane, like my wife was getting squashed. I said to my wife and her friends, I'm like, let's get out of here, man. This pit is fucking crazy. And like I was worried for my wife's safety and all that stuff. So we got out. And then later on, like probably like 10 minutes later, Lamb of God started back up. So I know they took him on a stretcher, this kid.
It was just a kid too?
Yeah, he was a young guy. Yeah.
Fuck.
So I don't know what happened, if he like just is really bad at taking drugs and couldn't keep up with the mosh, or he got knocked out or something. I don't know.
Don't know.
He didn't die because we got reports.
We would have heard about it on the news.
Yeah, well, we got reports yesterday from festival goers on TikTok and shit like that he went to hospital.
Okay.
And he's recovering in hospital. So he's all right.
Nice, good.
But then we heard Lamb of God start up, and we left the mosh pit. We got out. And then Lamb of God started again, and Randy just goes, let's destroy this place! And I'm like, dude, fucking really?
Yo.
And, yeah, the crowd just fucking going crazy. Anyway, so yeah, that was the reason why we got out of the mosh pit. Disturbed played, and Disturbed were boring, because they are. And then Pantera played. And emotional fucking concert. Holy shit. It was a complete tribute to Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul. It was really, really good. Phil killed it. Zach on the guitar just shredding. Pantera. If you can get a chance to see them, they're fucking awesome. So
recommended.
That's Tim's heavy metal corner. Heavy metal minute.
Nice.
But yeah, dude, I was recovering for a couple days after. Just my neck. Fuck.
Go too hard, old man.
I know. I'm an old man now. I'm almost, 37 this year. Jesus.
Crazy.
And, But no, it was good fun. Awesome. It's good to see that heavy metal music festivals are thriving. Heavy metal.
Unlike some festivals in the grass. No one wants to see fucking Kylie.
Right. Oh, poor dance music festivals getting cancelled here constantly. Sorry. Anyway.
Splendor's not a dance music festival.
Isn't it? I thought it was fucking like DJs.
No, it used to be like indie bands and shit. I went and saw, and like more pop stuff. Like, who the fuck did I see at Splendor? I can't remember. I think I saw like Jane's Addiction and Kanye and fucking. Gross. I was like Pulp and those pump like Boss the People and all like a bunch of like J music. You know what I mean? Like Triple J music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
does that kind of shit.
Does not.
That's why I was like, I saw the lineup and I was like, Kylie, really?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a random lineup. So, oh well. But that kind of
it used to be anyway.
That kind of coincides with the question of the week for this time.
Sure.
Me being
if you could cancel any music.
No, me being sore and injured kind of goes in line. Great segue, I must add, with our question of the week.
Good job.
Let's get into the bulk of the show. Question of the week.
Question of the week.
Here we are, question of the week, and the question for last time was, what's the worst injury you've had. Usually I pre-read these, but I purposely didn't pre-read any of these, so my reactions are genuine.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm genuinely curious.
Here we go. Geordie Van Vuklis says fractured shoulder blade.
Holy shit.
That
42.
That sounds, yeah. Apparently, he said, it's the dumbest story. I was messing around with my kid brother at the field one day. I went to tackle him when he was on the ground. I decided last second that would be a dick move, so halfway through the motion, I tried to dive over him and just smack my shoulder into the ground. Basically, I deserved it. I don't think you deserved it, Geordie, but, yeah. Hurting kid brothers is fun.
It is fun.
Jay Talbot says, head injury. Fell off a racehorse. Fuck. Next day was driving... Holy shit. Next day was driving to work and had to pull over.
I don't know. Why were you on a horse at a festival?
At a festival?
Wait, is this festival injuries or just injuries in general?
No, just injuries in general.
I already forgot the question.
So, he had a head injury, fell off a racehorse. Next day, he was driving to work. So, he fell off a horse and he went to work the next day. Good on ya. Had to pull over, had got that far, but now couldn't remember where I was going or who I was. Holy shit.
Fuck. That's a concussion as fuck,
spent
dude.
3 days in hospital and have a balance problem. Can't do step ladders. Holy shit. That's a thing? You, still, Jay, you can't go up ladders still to this day? That's fucking scary.
That is, I mean, I'm alright with it.
Zim Vader. My nuts twisted. Emergency surgery to cut my sack open and untangle me. I think he's honestly been legit.
I think so too. That happens. You get twisty nuts. It's a thing.
Ryan Salkness commented, knew a guy that had the same thing, except the doctors removed the testicle. Since then, he has been referred to as one nut.
We know a one nut.
Murphimus Prime said, that time you chokeslammed me at Soundwave.
Did you chokeslam me?
Apparently, I did a lot of things in my youth that I'm not proud of, and I used to go around chokeslamming people, apparently. Sorry.
Yeah, I believe it.
Zach Van Vuklis says, I've been doing kung fu and stunt training on a torn ACL for the past 5 months. Not a great feeling. Fucking hell.
God, lie down, dude.
I feel like a fucking pussy now. Just resting.
I've always thought that.
I should. Thanks, yeah, dickhead.
Yeah, it's alright.
Heather Powell says, I dislocated my elbow last summer, and it was beyond horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, not even Rob Humphrey.
Wow. Well, she really means it too.
Jesus. Thank you, Heather. Lacey Lou.
Because what would he do? Just sit in bed and hate movies all day?
I mean, yeah, nothing would change for me. Lacey Lou says, fatty tumor on my rib cage. Holy shit. On your rib cage? These injuries are scaring me because, I don't know you could have a tumor on your rib cage. Fucking hell.
Get a tumor anywhere, I guess.
Ryan Salkness says, toss up between tearing my meniscus and fracturing my leg and re-tearing the same meniscus. Fucking hell. Oh, the whole thought of re-tearing is making my dick go inside my body right now. Not a nice feeling.
It doesn't have super fighter trouble.
You're fucking funny, aren't you? Alan Chacha says, jumping into a creek when I was...
Already a good start.
When I was 6 and landing... Oh, fuck. Jumping into a creek when I was 6 and landing on a busted beer bottle. Lots of stitches in my hand and centimeters from my main artery in my wrist. I'm so glad I didn't pre-read any of these, because these... And he was 6 years old. Fucking hell. Poor little 6-year-old Alan Chacha. Yeah, metal. Jaleesa Davis says, torn ACL, so had to have a knee reconstruction. And I hear about it constantly.
Gross.
Janelle Rigby says, plantar... What? Plantar fasciitis? I'm not a doctor, Janelle.
I'm not a doctor.
I don't know what that means, but yeah. Kevin Nez says broken ankle.
Hold on, how do you spell it? I'll look it up.
So plantar, like plant with an AR at the end.
AR,
People are yelling at us right now going, you stupid fucks, you should know what that is.
If you didn't know it was stupid fucks by now, that's your problem.
Why we're called the Dummies of Horror.
Yeah. F-A-S-C-I...
F-A-S-C-I-I-T-I-S. Teach us, Dr. Mushroom.
Plantar fasciitis. According to Wikipedia, so also not a doctor. Plantar fasciitis or plantar heel pain is a disorder of the plantar fascia, which is the connective tissue which supports the arc of the foot. It results in pain in the heel and bottom of the foot that is usually most severe within the first steps of the day or following a period of rest. So it's when your foot fucking can't. Apparently it's pretty painful.
I've never heard. See, this is another thing that I've got to worry out for now.
Learning. Look at us learning.
I don't want plantar fasciitis. Anyway.
Well, I don't think you're going to get it because what you said doesn't exist. So.
Okay. Kevin Ned says broken ankle. And my ankles are so fucking shoddy because apparently, according to people, and Zim Vader can back me on this, I used to do a lot of jumping when I was younger. Jumping down flights of stairs. I don't remember...
Oh, because stuntman shit?
No, Zim messaged, I can't remember how it came up, but apparently, you know the Metro Theatre?
Yeah.
Zim told me that one time we were at a concert there.
No.
I tried to jump from the top down to the bottom.
My brain just, computed how big of a staircase that is.
Yeah. I don't remember this at all, but Zim told me that it happened. And
I believe Zim over you at any time.
Yeah, well, apparently, I asked Zim, did I make it? Did I make it?
Did I made it?
He said, this is why I can't speak no good.
Yeah. He said, no, you land head. Oh, head, where that one?
Yeah. Give it a comparison of how big that stairwell is.
That's I don't know.
Couple meters.
2 feet? 3 feet? Vertically?
Yeah, but how long?
It's really long.
Because apparently I tried to jump the entire thing. It's a good 20 meters.
That's not accurate at all. 2-3 feet. It's fucking retarded.
Yeah, well,
I was thinking meters.
I thought you were joking.
No, it's it's fucking huge. It's
dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you didn't even have a skateboard.
Yeah. Yeah, so apparently, according to people, I used to jump down stairwells a lot when going to clubs and stuff like that, and I always used to roll my ankle. And now ankle injuries fucking scare me.
I believe it.
Yeah. Last one here, Kate Pollock. She says labor. I won't tell you the details, but legit thought I was dying. Pretty fucking traumatic. Otherwise, when I scalded my hand with a metal cup, or when I scalded my hand with boiling water, or when I stabbed my hand cutting cable ties with a knife. My poor hands.
Alright, settle down. Jeez.
She said labor. Labor's bad. I've been led to understand that apparently...
Better than liberal.
Shut the fuck up. Labor is not as bad as the man flu.
I knew you'd fucking hate that so much. Labor's not as bad as the man flu?
Yeah.
I agree. Labor's probably less painful than just getting hit in the balls mildly.
I tell my wife that as a joke and she fucking hates it. She's like, you have no fucking idea. You have no idea what childbirth is like. I'm like, yeah, well, you're still standing. I'm barely standing from the man flu.
What's your worst injury?
The fucking dick injury I had last time.
Oh, true.
Probably.
Does a heart attack count?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Probably a heart attack then.
No, that doesn't count. You didn't fucking feel it. You didn't even know you had a heart attack.
I did. That's why I went to the hospital.
And then you kept fucking eating McDonald's afterwards.
Yeah, I'm going to work on the second one.
Don't say that. I can't go without another co-host.
What's my... Well, stop making Macca's so good. What is
Because I
my...
make Macca's good.
This one... I don't know if you can see that.
No, I
It's pretty
can't.
small.
Neither can the listeners.
That one. I was riding a bike and down a hill, and I like fucking I fucking hit the gutter and flew off and into the fence and sliced my hand down a collarbone fence.
Oh, fucking... Oh, the slicing one gets me, man.
Yeah, it was like, right on the connecty bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it like went through and just went like, and like just got in real deep. It didn't need stitches or anything, but yeah.
Those shit, that collarbone fucking metal sheets just slice straight through.
They're just knives.
Yeah, exactly. It's like running into knives. Anyway, that's a good one.
Other than that, yeah. I don't know, just scrapes and shit. I've never done anything too hectic. I'm never really giving it fucking 100.
Have you ever broken a bone?
No.
Neither have I. Maybe I should, just to know what it feels like.
If you want.
Nah, I'm right. If it is, I'm gonna do it. It'll be a toe. I'll break a toe because I can live without one toe. I'm sure I'll be
You
fine.
don't have to lose the whole thing.
No, I'll chop it off. Anyway, that is it for question of the week. Next question.
That's a good one.
Next one. This one is brought to us by Miss Heather Powell from the Friday Nightmares podcast.
Yeah.
She wants us to ask this question.
Okay.
I think someone's fishing for compliments here, but she wants to know
Okay.
who is the premium horror podcast?
Is it us?
No.
Oh.
No. Tell us who you think is the best horror podcast.
The best horror
Yeah.
podcast?
So I can't answer this. I'm a fan / friends with too many horror podcasts. If I'm
Yeah,
going to give you a
that's-
list of the podcasts I listen to...
That's my problem as well,
Oh, yeah, sure it is.
is I'm listening to too many of them.
Premium horror podcasts. They all have different things. Okay, so the Friday Nightmares podcast is really great because they watch fucking everything and are up to date with everything. Plus, they're a lot of fun to listen to. The Horror Returns podcast is really great because they're fun and entertaining. And Brian Stitcher is a genius because he just seems to love and hate everything I do. The Padded Room...
What a stitch up.
The Padded Room podcast is one of my favorites.
Hey, boss.
Because I've loved them. They got me into horror podcasting and they're just a lot of fun. They make me laugh. No More Room in Hell presents Fresh Cuts have made me like films because of their takes on it. Plus, they're really intelligent. 22 Shots of Moods and Horror are just fun to listen to. Their banter is just great. Who else do I fucking... Slasher Radio is good because Rob Hungy is on it and he amuses me with his weird hot takes.
Nice.
The Horrorcast. The Horrorcast is another good podcast because Mark Nato is just a beast. Plus, I feel like all the hosts have a really good connection with each other and they're just fun to listen to. Kill the Cast is fun when they record because Jerry is just like an American version of me. We have the same fucking sense of humor.
Nice.
I know I'm forgetting podcasts here. I know I am.
What about Eternal... What's it called?
Oh, fuck me. The podcast that I always forget its name.
Yep.
Now I gotta fucking look it up because
Eternal Darkness.
Eternal Darkness of the Not So Spotless Minds. Cat and Matt's show. Their podcast is probably the most important because that's the most attractive. Because Cat and Matt are fucking Cat and Matt. Kate and Matt are the most attractive people out there. They're also really fun to listen to because their banter's great. The Super Network with Marcy and Bede with their many different shows.
So many.
The only Australian podcast I listen to. Which is a big deal for me because I don't like how Australians sound.
I don't either. I barely like talking to you.
Yeah, true. I know I'm missing someone here. and I'm so sorry. You go. You fucking say something, you dick.
I don't listen to horror podcasts.
Don and Nelly's The Horror Countdown podcast. If you like horror countdowns, then this is a show to watch. He has a fucking new episode up almost every week, and it's just great to fun. Don is a fucking encyclopedia for horror movies as well. He's seen...
You got a book here, man.
He's seen it all. Like, he's seen, like, every fucking horror movie. It's crazy. Beyond the Void. Fuck, I'm just going to keep going on. Beyond the Void horror podcast. There's another one I listen to. They're really great. They're a lot of fun. He has a YouTube channel out, which is a lot of fun too. I really like them. I got to stop. I'm going to keep going on. But, yeah.
Hey. Well, that's a good question of the week, because then you'll have even more new podcasts to listen to next
I
week.
don't have enough. That's the problem. There's too many good horror podcasts out there that I don't have enough time to listen to all of them. And then I've got my wrestling podcast that I listen to.
I mean, I used to listen to people's video games podcasts when people had video game podcasts, but they don't have video game podcasts anymore. Just saying.
Fucking premium podcasters. Ha!
Yeah, like premium just horror podcasters. Ain't got time for video games no more, I guess. Losers.
So yeah, that's the question of the week for this time. Who is the premium...
Like busy having sex with people and stuff instead of playing video games, I guess.
Who is the premium horror podcast? This question is asked by Heather Powell because she's fishing for compliments. But, yeah.
And it worked.
I just named all of my favourites. So, I hope.
So did I.
I hope. Anyway. What's the fucking thing we do? Oh, yeah. Let's get into it. What horrors have you done?
What horrors have you done?
What horrors have we done for the past 2 weeks? Have you got anything?
Yeah, I got two.
Alright, I've got 2 as well. So, you go for it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with I watched a shit one and a good one, so I'll go with the shit one first.
Okay.
I watched Night Explorers, The Asylum.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, this is a movie. I'm not ready to talk about it in the sense that I have the thing up, but
You got my thing
I
up.
don't need a synopsis. Because it's just I don't want to spoil the whole movie, because honestly my review does spoil the whole movie.
Then just give us your thoughts, yes or no.
If anybody wanted, but no. It's stupid. It's mean spirited. They make you think it's something, and then it's totally not. There's maybe a little bit of gore that's like okay, but it's just kind of boring to watch for the most part. Wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is probably the best bit.
Dude, okay, let me just quickly interrupt quickly.
Sure.
The idea behind this movie, I really like the idea. Because you're going in, you think it's going to be these fucking YouTubers going into a haunted place, and it turns into something else. I like the idea, but the execution was just poor.
And everyone's so unlikable and shit as well.
Yeah.
But I gave it a 5 out of 10, which is what you gave it, I think.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Like, I can see where some effort went in. Like you said, I like the idea. Poorly executed. This could have been really good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Agreed. Okay, I'll go into my lesser one as well. I watched the new movie called Stop Motion. So Stop Motion is about a girl called Ella Blake, a stop motion animator struggling to control her demons after the loss of someone close to her. Embarks upon the creation of a film that becomes the battleground for her sanity. As Ella's mind starts to fracture, the characters in her own project take a life of their own. This is a feature-length Tool music video. So you might like this.
Ooh.
You might like this. This is a psychological horror movie, and it's never been my jam. I'll speak more about that soon. Unfortunately for me, this is not a film I walked away from with a smile on my face, but that's not to say that it's not a good movie. This is a very well done piece of cinema with really cool effects, unreal acting. The score is fantastic, but there's just a lot of symbolism and cryptic imagery that went over my head.
Okay, it honestly sounds good. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, you see, I've been hearing a lot of praise for this film. It's just one that I didn't understand. Look, I'm not the smartest tool in this shit. But
that's true.
I think if I understood what this movie was saying, I would have enjoyed it more. Even then, like, I had to search up what the explanation of this movie was, and when I kind of found answers, I still kind of walked away going, yeah, okay. But it's got some really creepy imagery in it. Really creepy imagery. So that's a plus. It's just not a movie for me. I gave it a 6 out of 10. But I think this is one that's going to be in people's top 10 lists for the year. So,
dang, really? Like, is that what people are saying?
Yeah, well, I've heard... So, Beyond the Void horror podcast, shout out to those guys. They reviewed it, and Alex...
I'm trying to find it on Letterboxd, and it's like...
It's stop motion in one word.
Oh, okay, that's my issue.
Yeah, Alex from Beyond the Void horror podcast loved it, gave it like a 9 out of 10. So, yeah.
Ooh, it looks cool.
Yeah, like the poster art's fucking great. The poster art is creepy as hell. But it just didn't hit me as much as I wanted it to, unfortunately.
Okay. You know what did hit me?
What?
Here for Blood.
That's my next one too.
Nice.
Okay.
Alright. So, I'll read the synopsis.
Yeah.
A rowdy pro wrestler struggling to make ends meet agrees to fill in as a last-minute replacement for his girlfriend's well-paying babysitting job. Upon it's long, so I'm going to stop it if it's spoilers. Upon arriving at the scheduled secluded family home, he meets the precious 10-year-old Grace. What starts off as a quiet night of pizza and video games quickly spirals into bloody, violent chaos as they find themselves fighting for their lives when something happens. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, I went into this feeling very, like, uncorked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I can see that, yeah.
It was... I was like, this is another one of fucking these movies, you know? Like...
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really... We didn't really get to know his character very well at the start, and I'm like, it's just... And again, my prejudice is for just being like, this guy's just a fucking meathead or whatever.
Yeah.
Not a very good actor. They just got some huge dude. Whatever. And then it all started to kick off. And yeah, look, these guys aren't the best actors and shit. That's not...
it's not their
not
jam.
what make this movie cool. Right?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like a really schlocky, funny, gory, creative movie. I'll put it that way.
So out of 10?
8. 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
Could honestly be a 9 on a rewatch. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. All right.
I would like this to be somewhere in my top 10, maybe. At least an honorable mention, I think.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Depending on how the year goes. But it was right up my alley once it got into it, honestly.
So for me, this is a film written for me, right? A wrestler battles
100%.
something.
I was watching this and I was like, this is fucking... He's gonna love this shit.
It's a wrestler... I won't say what the wrestler battles, but it's got over-the-top gore, a killer soundtrack. Dee Snider from Twisted Sisters in it. I won't say who he plays.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feed me!
Oh!
That's Dee Snider. Yep.
That was...
If you know, you know.
He was my favorite.
I will say this. So, Scott Crawford from the Friday Nightmares podcast, He suggested this to me, saying that I would love it because he saw similarities to Psycho Gorman. Which at first I was like, what? And then
the little girl
I saw
wasn't
it.
as annoying.
Yeah, whatever. I have nitpicks about this movie. And I'm going to say it because it's not spoiler at all. But
Sure.
my first nitpick, and the big one, is if you're going to have a film about a wrestler, can you fucking make sure and study how wrestling works? So at the start of this movie, we see a wrestling match, and the match ends after a suplex with no pin. Firstly, matches never end with just a suplex. That's not really a finishing move, unless you're Goldberg and do something different. But you have to pin.
It's probably just because the other dude's too injured to keep going.
But that doesn't happen. Pin him. That's what happens in wrestling. He does a suplex, and then next thing, he's won. Okay, what? Also, we get a spectacular scene featuring some elbow drops. But the subtitles say body slam. I'm like, come on. Come on. Macho Man Randy Savage is fucking rolling in his grave right now. Anyway, secondly, the other nitpick that it's probably just a me thing, but it annoyed the fuck out of me. The main protagonist, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Why does he breathe so heavily?
Just tired lugging around all that muscle, dude.
Every line of dialogue, he'd be like, so you want pizza? Yeah, we'll get some pizza. It just fucking annoyed the shit out of me. I'm like, stop breathing, you fuck!
It's rough.
I know I'm sounding petty as fuck right now, but it was like, well, let's do a shot every time he fucking breathes heavy. I'm like, you can't, because in the first 5 minutes you'd die. It was getting under my skin. In saying that, this is great. It's gory. It's over the top. But I wish the story was tightened up a bit where we get some explanations. Just a little bit more. That's all I'm asking for.
Sure. This was also like a budget as fuck movie.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It was, in my opinion, it was better than it had any right to be.
Yeah.
It was that kind of movie.
I get you.
And it wasn't like indie on a budget. It was still like a bad movie. It looks like a bad movie. It's acted like a bad movie, but like,
yeah,
it seems like they had heaps of fun with it.
No, definitely. It looked like they loved what they did.
I didn't absolutely hate the characters. Don't get me wrong. The characters are like underwritten and boring for the most part.
Yeah.
But they were somewhat charming.
Also, the wrestler's girlfriend looks like 20 years younger than her.
Yeah,
but whatever, I can get over that. It sounds like I'm criticizing this movie, but I still gave it an 8 out of 10. I had a blast with it. I did.
Nice.
So, we're both in the
good
camp.
time.
I've heard everyone speak about this movie saying that they enjoyed it. So, Here for Blood from 2024, go and check it out.
Also, it confused the shit out of me because it was like 2022 everywhere.
Yeah, dude, it keeps saying 2022. I'm guessing festivals.
Yeah,
this is where Rob Hungy gets upset.
This the only one?
There's a lot. There's a lot of movies that come out this year that say 2023.
Yeah.
But that's because it was released in festivals last year. But
not wide release.
Exactly.
You couldn't get to it in 2023.
Exactly. But Rob Hungary's like, oh, there was only 4 movies in 2024. Fucking wrong.
Really going in hard on him today.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got. That's all you've got?
Yep.
Alrighty. It is...
hopefully a lot more next week.
There will be, because we don't have to watch any other decade stuff, so...
Yeah.
On that note, fucking Imaginary, that new Blumhouse movie, is out on VOD now. So if you couldn't get to the cinemas, you can find it on VOD. I'll be watching it tomorrow, so...
And I'll be watching it at some point.
Yeah. That note, it's time to get into the decades, the 1960s versus the 1980s. Let's do it. Are you tired of being naked? Then wear shirts with our faces on them. Go to our Facebook group page, Dummies of Horror Super Friends, and there you'll see the Redbubble link. Click on it, and you can buy anything with our faces on it. Shirts, phone cases, clocks, anything you want with our faces on them. Because what the world needs is merchandise with our faces on them.
And now for our feature presentation.
It's the Decades of Decadence here. The fight between the 1960s and the 1980s is here. And in the blue corner, the left corner, whatever you want to call it, we have the 1960s. So, we're going to start with the earlier decade first and talk about the 1960s. Here's the sound clip. Let's do this shit.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Do you know what the most frightening thing in the world is? It's fear.
They are not men, monsieur. They are dead bodies. Dead. Zombies. The living dead.
I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
I shall return to torment and destroy throughout the night of time!
What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes? What have you done to him, you maniac?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The 1960s. The 1960s horror movies reflect an era of rapid change and uncertainty, and a yawning generation gap. The social stability of the post-war years crumbled as attitudes to everything from hemlines to homosexuality underwent a seismic shift. The 1960s were defined by cultural revolution and rocked by dramatic and often violent news events. Cuba, political assassinations, the civil rights struggle, the Cold War, Vietnam, sexual revolution happening too. As new medical technology freed women from their reproductive chains, horror movies, especially those made for low budgets outside the mainstream studio systems, offered ways to process and interpret the rapid pace of change. They often served as cautionary tales about the dangers of abandoning traditional values. So what changed in the 60s? Monsters to men. Monsters were on their way out on the 60s. We started with the Frankensteins from the 30s, and then we started with the 60s. We started to get into real psychotic people. Psycho being the perfect example. Hammer horror. So while monsters were on their way out, they haven't died completely. Hammer Horror, which is a UK company, was remaking the monsters from the 30s. Frankenstein, Dracula, all being done. Hammer Horror was thriving in the 60s. And the last thing I'll mention is Vincent fucking Price. Because he was unstoppable in this decade. With many films. Almost like every second movie was Vincent Price. He had House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, The Raven, The Pit, The Pendulum, The Comedy of Terrors, Witchfinder General. There's so many movies with Vincent Price in them. So that's kind of a roundabout way of the 60s. But how did you feel about the 60s in comparison?
Of what I watched, or like just all 60s movies in general?
Yeah, like all 60s movies in general, or what you watched, whatever.
Honestly, it's like just from the movies I was looking up, there's some bangers for sure, but I don't know, I really found the decade kind of underwhelming.
Wow. Like, there's some heavy hitters in the 60s. I mean, you've got the start of the modern zombie with Night of the Living Dead. You've got, of course,
Banger.
Psycho.
Banger.
Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
What's it fucking called? Black Sunday by Mario Bava. That movie's fucking just bang on.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah, Black Sunday 1960 by Mario Bava. That's pretty full on, that movie. There are some heavy hitters in the 60s. I watched...
Maybe I just watched a couple of bad ones.
Yeah. We'll get into it. I watched a couple of good ones and one that I didn't enjoy that people are going to be shocked about, but let's get into it. What movie from the 60s did you watch? Actually, I'll go first. You only got two, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I go first?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Alright. So this one was has been on my list for a long time, and I've heard a lot of people speak about it, and I've never taken the plunge until now. So, from 1962, we've got Carnival of Souls. Did you watch?
Oh,
you didn't watch this one?
I did watch that
Oh,
one.
did you?
Yep.
Okay. So Mary Henry ends up a sole survivor of a fatal car accident through mysterious circumstances. Trying to put the incident behind her, she moves to Utah, and takes a job.
Salt Lake City.
She moves to Utah and takes a job as a church organist, but her fresh start is interrupted by visions of a fiendish man. As the visions begin to occur more frequently, Mary finds herself drawn to the deserted carnival on the outskirts of town. I'll leave it at that. This movie is a movie that's like loved by a lot of people.
Yeah.
I really didn't like this movie. This is another psychological horror film that I just don't care about. And it's got a twist. Everyone, I went in with this movie knowing that the ending has a twist to it. But the twist was just like really lackluster for me. I'm just like, I just don't care. I appreciate what this movie did for the genre and why so many people love it, but I found this fucking boring and an absolute slog to get through. And I'm going to get some hate on that, but I don't know what else to say, man. I just really didn't care for this movie. What about you?
Well, you know what? You're not wrong. It was mostly boring, kind of a slog. At least it was somewhat interesting trying to figure out what was happening. And yeah, I kind of picked it at the start.
So did I.
So I was kind of watching it with that lens, and then it was like, twist. And I was like, yeah? I was like, twist?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's revealed in a weird and awkward way.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. And, like, she wasn't particularly likable. The boyfriend especially wasn't particularly likable.
Yeah.
It's rich to call it a boyfriend even. But, like, it's just, okay. It's fine. It's fine. Oh. Like, I've definitely watched worse older movies, but...
Yeah.
Look, highest I can probably give it, and is what I gave it, is like a 6.
Okay.
Because it wasn't so boring I couldn't sort of pay attention.
Yeah.
And I sort of got what was going on. And look, I'll give it to who is it? Candace Hilligloss. She was interesting enough.
Yeah. No, I thought she did fine.
She did a good job acting and shit, but it just, man, it felt more like a 30s movie to me.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, and that's the kind of like
not a lot happened.
No, it was definitely a slow burn type of film, but there wasn't enough atmospheric or build up to keep me entertained.
Yeah, I feel ya. Yeah, like I said, this is on the better side of good, because I always seem to mark up older movies a little bit more, because I'm like trying to accommodate for age. But yeah, this I've seen it. Check Carnival of Souls.
Exactly.
But I'm not going back to it.
No, neither will I. I'm coming in with a 4 out of 10 on this. I really struggled to get through this.
That's fair. And sometimes, like, it's just, with these movies especially, it's just, yeah. I also, like, I'll just say I struggled to find 60s movies on my things that I had.
Really? YouTube, man. Or Tubi, actually. Tubi's rich with 60s movies.
Tubi's where I found my other one, and I didn't like my other one as much, but we'll get to it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, do you want me to go again? Because I've got 2 more and you
Yeah, go again. Go again.
Alright, so that's Carnival of Souls. Yeah. My next one. coming in from 1964. And this one, originally I wanted to watch Spider Baby, which is a movie that's been on my list. But thank you, Just Watch app, for steering me in the wrong direction. Said it was on Tubi. Turns out, not for us Australians, it's not. Whatever.
Yeah.
But something that was on Tubi that I did watch was called The Last Man on Earth. This isn't one you watched? Okay, cool. So The Last Man on Earth. When a disease turns all of humanity into the living dead, the last man on Earth becomes a reluctant vampire hunter. I'm sure you've seen I Am Legend. Will Smith.
Oh, yeah. I did the same thing. I tried to go watch this.
Oh, okay. So...
And it was like, this is on this. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay. And then it wasn't.
Yeah, so this is like... not the original of that story, because the original is called Omega Man. Or Omega, whatever you want to say. But this is like... Yeah. The original of I Am Legend. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah, I get you.
Similar story. This one stars Vincent Price. Shocking, I know. So,
wow.
Here we are with a 60s movie that I fucking loved. This movie's great. I really, really dug this movie. I'm going to say that this movie is better than the Will Smith film.
Wow.
But I'm a fan of I Am Legend. I really am. Vincent Price is I thought he did a really good job of this. This story is vastly different to I Am Legend, though, in where this is more of a view of him being the last person on Earth.
Yeah.
Where he kind of goes insane a bit like that. I know that happened in I Am Legend as well, but this goes more in depth. And then you get...
I Am Legend changed heaps from the book.
Did it? I didn't read the book.
I just read stuff about it later.
Oh, okay. See, I Am Legend, I like that movie. It's just kind of the effects of the creatures don't hold up. They never really did. The creatures in this... And they never explain what they are, but they're kind of like zombie vampires. They take elements from both zombies and vampires and put them into one. This had to be... This movie, I'm sure, it had to be inspiration for Romero with Night of the Living Dead. Because they're exactly like the zombies from Night of the Living Dead. Except they don't like mirrors or garlic. So,
whatever.
But this also goes into like a backstory of how it happened and Vincent Price's family, and it actually kind of hits you on the heartstrings a little bit. It gets a little emotional, which was shocking to me because I wasn't expecting that. Like, I didn't cry or anything like that, but I could see like if it was like. If I was around that time when it was made, I would have. It would have got me.
You're bawling.
But no, I highly enjoyed this movie, man. I thought it was really good, really well done. I like this story because it kind of hits close to home in a way with a deadly disease wiping out humanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Last Man on Earth, man, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I dug this movie, man, from 1964. So, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, like, I was just real lazy and I was just looking for anything I could find and not have to, acquire.
Yeah. I get you.
So the other one I found was the Blood Beast Terror.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds badass.
And it was real boring. There was a cool bit where you actually see the beast.
Yeah.
That was cool. And then it gets set on fire. And then it dies.
Way to spoil it.
Spoilers. A Scotland Yard detective must investigate a series of murders perpetrated by a giant blood-sucking moth that can take human form.
A moth?
Apparently that's what it was. I didn't get moth.
Okay, so it doesn't look like a moth.
No.
Okay.
And also, there was so much just talking.
Yeah.
Like, it was so much just talking, and I was so bored, and they were just like, I don't know what happened to this person over here. Like, that kind of shit, like, but more British. You know, like, it was really 30s-y.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't show the Beast, but the Beast is on the cover, or the poster art, and it wasn't in it, barely. They show, like, the costume on the floor at the end, but, like, it wasn't for maybe, like, 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
It was just, I don't know, dude. I don't know if people love this movie and I'm fucking shitting all over it, but man, it was just a lot of talking. And when there's a lot of fucking dialogue and exposition dump shit, but like, half the time they're not even talking about the murders and they're just kind of discussing their lives.
Oh, what?
And you're just like, what?
That's...
It felt like a bad Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, okay. I was going to watch this, but then you spoiled the ending, and then you said it was Sherlock Holmes, so now I don't care.
Like, you can if you want.
Nah.
It's on there.
Well, I know how the thing dies now, so...
I don't know. I think it got set on fire. I can't remember. I honestly, like, maybe it didn't. Who knows? I'm not very reliable with these things.
You're too busy playing with your Nintendo and not watching the movie.
You know what? Like, even if I am or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's a good movie, it should hold my attention. And I do go in device-free. You know?
Yeah.
I give it a good 15, 20 minutes. And then it's just like, let's ride this out and tick it off the fucking list, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And I'll play my Switch. And it did not interest me at all. Whereas, like, Carnival of Souls, I was kind of hanging in there.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And so this one gets a 4.
Wow.
Out of 10. I didn't like it.
Okay.
I thought it was boring.
All right. There we go.
And that's it. Just lots of talking for like 2 minutes of action, and not even that much action.
What's it called again?
The Blood Beast Terror.
See, it sounds cool.
It does sound cool. Look cool. I had Peter Cushing and shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. All right, I'll come in with my last 60s movie, and I got to give a shout out to a fellow podcast called The 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. They just released their latest episode, which is called Hidden Gems, and this was one of their hidden gems that Moods was speaking about. It's called The Flesh Eaters from 1964. And the story of this is an alcoholic actress, her personal assistant, and their pilot are downed on a scheduled isle by bad weather, where a renegade Nazi scientist is using ocean life to develop a solvent for human flesh. The tiny flesh-eating sea critters that result certainly give our heroes a run for their money and lives. It's about, like, flesh-eating organisms, basically.
Got it. Cool.
So, this one is one that I've noticed that not many people have logged or spoken about at all. And as Moods from 22 Shots of Moods and Horror said, it's a hidden gem because no one speaks about it. But this one was fucking surprising for a 60s movie. This one had some gore in it.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, like, and like I'm not comparing it to gore of like nowadays, but like gore for the 60s, like you see blood, you see like limbs being eroded away, you see like people cutting into flesh in this movie.
Okay.
And the effects, like especially for 1964, are pretty fucking spot on. This is a story that I enjoy. It's a simple story. You don't need to think. It's not fucking psychological. It's not metaphorical. It's nothing like that. It's a simple story of, hey, water bad. If you go into water, you die. Boom.
That's mad.
Yes.
That's mad. I like that.
Yes. It has cool gore in it for the 60s movie. I thought the acting in this was actually really surprising. This is a lower budget movie from the 60s, you can tell, but I think that they did it well. It is a creature feature movie. You do see creatures in it, so going knowing that. But I dug this movie, man. I wrote here 7 out of 10, but I'm actually bumping it up to an 8. I think this is definitely one that you need to check out. And I watched this on YouTube. So
okay,
it's called.
I should ask you for shit.
It's okay. It's called The Flesh Eaters. So yeah, go and check that shit out, man. It's good times.
All right. Yeah, it sounds good. It really does.
Yeah. So for me, the 60s were more up than they were down from what I've watched. But I've seen a few 60s movies here and there, and there are some heavy hitters in this decade. So I don't think it's... I think it's a solid decade. Problem is... it's going up against the 80s.
Yes.
But how do we really feel about the 80s?
I love the 80s.
You ready to get into the 1980s?
Sure.
Let's do it. Here we go.
You want to know what happens to an eyeball when it gets punctured?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Beware the moonlets.
They mostly come at night. Mostly.
Please, God.
This is God.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
Here's Johnny.
We have such sights to show you.
Sarah, be my bloody Valentine.
Be one of us.
The box. You opened it. We came.
It's just a puzzle box!
We'll tear your soul apart.
You let him drown. You never paid any attention.
Red rum! Red rum! Red rum! Red rum! They're here.
I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The 1980s. Horror movies of the 1980s, which probably began in 1979 with Alien, exist at the glorious watershed with special visual effects finally caught up with gory imaging from horror movies, of horror fans and movie makers. Technical advances in special effects, animatronics, liquid and foam latex meant the human frame could be distorted and grotesque new dimensions on screen. This coincided with the descendant and materialistic aesthetics of the 1980s. Having it all was important. Showing it off was paramount. It was truly the age of excess. People demanded tangible tokens of material success, bigger, shinier, faster, with more knobs on, as verification of their own value in society. In the same way, 1980s horror movies delivered the full colour close-up, look, no strings attached, special effect in a way that previous practitioners of the art could only dream about. Everything lurking in the shadows in older horror movies was now dragged into the garnish light of day. The monsters were finally out of the closet. So, probably the most famous decade for horror, with the 80s.
Indeed.
What did the 80s give us? So much. But let's start with body horror. Cronenberg, obviously. Videodrome, The Fly, Society, movies like that. But then you've got other movies. Hellraiser, you could say, was a body horror movie.
Yeah.
There are countless of body horror stuff from the 80s. Werewolves were also a thing in the 80s. American Werewolf in London, The Howling, Wolfen. There was an abundance of werewolf movies. But the biggest thing to come out of the 80s was, of course, the slasher craze.
I was going to say, like, the sort of start of the whole kind of horror mascot era.
It was. The gone are the days of Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman. Here are Freddy, Jason, Michael, fucking Leatherface, Chucky, Pinhead. These guys have come to fuck our faces. And
so good.
I'm just going to say it. What a decade. Well, you can't deny the 80s.
I honestly think this decade, like, a contender.
So do I.
For the winner.
So do I. I would be shocked if it's not, like, in the final two.
Like, if... Yeah, I don't know.
All around, man.
Yeah, it's making it. It's such a good decade. I fucking love the 80s. Like, it's the horror decade. Like, there's good shit. There's good shit in all the decades.
Yeah.
But, like, the best shit... Like, when I feel like... Maybe not when horror peaks, because, you know, it's always different.
Yeah.
But, like... It just... It really took horror and just took it to the next fucking level.
Yeah, it did.
I think.
I think the 80s decade as a whole, not just for horror, for everything. Music, fashion, fucking pro
Creative
wrestling.
people.
Like, everything in the 80s was cool. You know, we get movies now where they're going back to the 80s because it's a decade that if you were alive then, was the best time. And if you weren't, you wish you were.
This is like when you could get that capitalistic excess.
Yeah.
And still, you know, work a regular job and be able to afford like 2 cars and a house and shit.
Exactly.
Whereas like now that's been taken to the point of like where we're fucking, you serious?
Yeah, that's right.
You serious with this shit now?
Yep.
You start paying $30 for fucking the smallest pizza with like 2 pieces of fucking ham on it.
Yeah.
Is this where we're at?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. And I wish the 80s would come back.
Back then you get a giant fucking Pizza Hut pizza, you throw in the fucking Back to the Future microwave and shit.
Yeah.
Man. Whatever.
Yep. The 80s were a decade that's... we were both born in the decades.
Yep.
Sorry, in the decades. We were both born in the 80s.
In the decades? We were both born at some point in time.
We were both born in the 80s. I was 1987. You were 89? Is that right?
88.
88, there we go.
Lucky Dragon, baby.
So, yeah, like, I wasn't old enough to experience the 80s, but what I did experience at a young child age was the horror movies from the 80s. So, I'm probably... speaking from nostalgia with a lot of the 80s because this is the decade that I grew up in with movie watching. You know? I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I was watching Friday the 13th. Like, these were the movies that made me become a horror fan. So...
Yeah. Yep.
So, I got a chance to watch 3 different... And I thought I've seen, like, everything from the 80s. Turns out that... I didn't, and there's still a lot more 80s fun that I've never seen before. So now I've got 3 here. How many you got?
Look, I sort of have 4-ish, sort of, kinda.
What do you mean, sort of?
It's more like, yeah, we'll see. All right, I'll start with the sort of, kindas first.
Okay, we'll take it away. What do you got?
All right. Well, look, here's the problem too, because I was like trying to not do my usual, and I was just like, I'm gonna just scan all my apps for 80s and 60s shit.
Yep.
It was a struggle to find 60s shit, and then I just kept coming up with fucking rad looking 80s shit.
Yeah.
There was so much stuff, I was just like, I don't have time to watch this 80s movies and Alligator and Alligator 2 and shit.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to. Too. So it just made me upset that I had to spend time. I was like watching this stupid Moth Beast and wasn't watching Alligator, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, why am I watching these 60s fucking movies when I could be watching more 80s? But anyway, so I went on Shudder, right?
Right.
As we know, all horror movies.
Yeah, it's a horror Netflix.
Exactly. So I found these on Shudder, so they count.
Okay.
End of story.
Okay.
No arguments, right? Okay. So what I watched was, I'm just going to put them together.
Okay.
I watched Deathstalker 1 and 2.
Right, okay, I was flirting with this too.
And look, let's be completely honest. It's a fantasy.
Okay, but does it have horror
The Warrior
elements?
Deathstalker, it's more Conan than horror.
Oh.
I guess the most horror you could say is that there's magic.
Okay.
And sort of trolls, sort of.
Okay,
I don't know.
so it's like horror in a sense that Star Wars is horror.
Yeah, like there's a Sarlacc beast and
Okay.
things like that. And you're like, oh, that's a bit scary. Anyway, the Warrior Deathstalker is tasked by an old witch lady to obtain and unite the three powers of creation: a chalice, an amulet, and a sword, lest the evil magician Munkar get them and use them for nefarious purposes. After obtaining the sword, Deathstalker joins with other travelers going to the big tournament. I mean, this is about as well written as it is. With the other travelers to determine the strongest warrior. The false king holds the true princess in captivity and plots to have Deathstalker killed, and Deathstalker must fight to free the princess.
Fuck yeah.
Look, this movie's dumb as shit.
Aww.
Right? It's like, no, in the best way. In a way I really, really fucking liked.
Like Willow?
No, this is bad.
Oh, okay.
This is a bad movie.
Willow,
It's not a good movie. Yeah. It's like, look, I can read Matt Wood's review.
Yeah. He's sexy, so.
Utter shite. Storylines all over the place, as is the script and editing. Acting is poor as well. It's basically softcore porn and Conan merged together with bad consequences. Just don't watch it. 3 shite swords out of 10.
Wow.
And so my review is, it's basically softcore porn and Conan mixed together.
When you say softcore porn, is it like everything except penetration?
No, there's just lots of titties. So like
Okay.
the main chick just wears straps. So her titties are just out. And then sometimes she's wearing a bikini with just like titty covers. Like just nip covers.
Okay.
There's heaps of boobs in this movie. A lot of boobs. It's like the action's really bad and like the sword fights are shit. But man, I was just loved. There's like, my favorite dude is this pig man, right?
Right.
Who like, a couple of my favorite pig head man scenes is like, he's eating at the feast and there's a pig head served to him and he looks at the pig head with his pig head and he eats it. And that was funny. And then there's another bit where he's beating up this dude in the bar brawl and his hand hurts. So he looks around and then he sees another dude and he rips his arm off and starts beating the guy with it instead so he doesn't hurt his hand.
You're selling me on this.
It's real stupid.
Yeah.
And like it feels low budget and low effort until you watch Deathstalker 2. Where you're like, oh, this is low budget and low effort.
Okay.
So, I'll wrap it up with, if you want a worse Conan with more titties, that's really dumb, and you just like a bad B-movie, then Deathstalker's great. Deathstalker barely talks, and he's got zero charm, and it's really interesting to watch. Just this fucking big dude be a Gronk with a sword. It's like, it felt like, this movie feels like, all the like super nerdiest dudes writing their stories that never made it big.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I get
Except one of them somehow got his thing. The ones that are like fucking, I could write a better script than that. It felt like someone gave them money to do it.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
It's either that or someone gave sort of briefly explained fantasy to somebody and then told them to go write a script.
Okay.
But yeah. So Deathstalker 2 is even worse in the bad sort of movie realm. The sets are worse. The actual guy in it is sort of more charming. But there's way less titties, way less violence. There are a couple of fucking key points that I really enjoyed was, you know, the pig head scene that I described to you?
Yes.
Or like little tiny sequence. That's in this one.
Or they like the exact same scene?
Yup.
So they just copy
bit
paste
of footage is in this one. In a different bar fight scene that looks completely different, and then they just added it in there.
Wow.
I guess to pad out time. That's just in there. There's a bit where he wrestles a bunch of Amazon and you think wrestles like they're just getting into it. No, there's a wrestling ring that they've set up.
Okay.
Where he has to wrestle.
I'm sorry, you're
someone.
selling me right now.
All the backgrounds look like they're 100% foam. Like, in this one, like, it's really bad. There's a lot of bendy knives and shit.
Yeah.
There's still titties eventually in this, but it's just way less egregious than in the first one.
Right.
But again, if you like a fucking shitty movie, like, it's pretty good. There's a bit, I can't remember if it's in this one or the other one, where just the sword goes in and then there's just a close up and it just goes, but it just, I don't know, to me it was really funny. It's a lot of like under the arm sword fighting, if that makes sense, is how good the action is.
Okay, yep. I get you.
Like where they like stab you and they're like, oh no, you're through me.
Yeah. I get you.
And it looks so bad. Look, these were really fun to me. Like, they're not, like, don't go into this thinking it's a good movie. It's about what the cover looks like. It's Man of War, like, not Man of War. It's like a Man of War album, the movie.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah. So, not horror, just like, hey, what if we tried to make Conan but couldn't?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yep. And like the dude's name is Deathstalker.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like the main guy's name is Yeah. Anyway.
So what did you give it out of 10?
I gave the first one a 9 and the second one a 7. But they're really like
this
fucking 4 and a 2.
So bad it's good.
But yeah, but I loved it. I was fucking having a fucking mad laugh at it. So
okay. I may have to check it out. You kind of sold me a bit.
It's on Shudder. You paid for it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true.
And they're not long. Like I said, they had to pad some shit out with the second one. There's apparently another 2, which I do want to watch. I can only imagine they get worse.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I have a feeling that you and me have the same movie, so I'll start differently. Okay. This one has been on my list for so fucking long, and people are going to be shocked that I've never seen it before. But 1989's, directed by Wes Craven, we've got Shocker. And the story of Shocker is...
You go, sorry.
Did you see this?
I didn't see this. But I have seen this.
Okay, alright. So, about to be electrocuted for a catalogue of heinous crimes, Horace Pinker transforms into a terrifying energy source. Only young athlete Jonathan Parker, with an uncanny connection to him through bizarre dreams, can fight the powerful demon. Yeah. So, another Wes Craven movie featuring dreams. This one, yeah, it's been on my list for so long, and I finally checked it out.
I think it was on like Prime or some shit one day, and
yeah,
it looked like my kind of movie.
Yeah, I can say, look, man, I enjoyed this movie, I did, but it is a little bit of a mess. The story is all over the place, and the rules of the story are confusing as shit.
Oh, they're not consistent.
Not at all. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't understand what was happening in certain scenes, but I enjoyed the campiness of it. The soundtrack is cool. It's a fucking heavy metal soundtrack throughout the entire movie. And
like your kind of heavy metal.
Yeah, like 80s heavy metal. So glam.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy. So overall, man, I enjoyed this movie. I don't think I feel this is a movie that was talked up to me way too much. Yeah. So I went in expecting like another fucking, I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. It is not that. It's one of Wes Craven's middle films, I'll say, where Nightmare and Scream are his top echelon. I would say this falls behind them, but not his worst. I still enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll be rushing back for a rewatch, to be perfectly honest.
It was when I watched it, I think I was doing night shift.
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect 3 o'clock in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
Let's kill some time.
Yep.
I was just like, what are the rules of this fucking movie?
Yeah.
Because he just seems to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking confusing. It's so all over the place, but it is what it is. It's an 80s movie about a fucking electricity demon, I guess. So, take it for what it is. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's not perfect. So, that's Shocker from 1989. Back to you.
Cool. One of the actual horror movies I watched was The Slumber Party Massacre from 1982.
Nice, okay. First time watch?
First time watch. I'd not seen this before.
Well, we are. Okay.
Well, we were. Exactly. So, if you don't know, an 18-year-old high school girl is left at home by her parents and decides to have a slumber party. Meanwhile, a mass murderer with a propensity for power tools has escaped from prison and eventually makes his way to the party where guests begin dropping off one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fucking fun slasher with heaps of titties.
Yep.
Sold.
Exactly.
Fucking 7.5 out of 10. It's a good time. It's what I wanted.
There's nothing really you can say about it. It's literally just a slasher movie set.
You go, that chick's hot. I hope I see her titties, and then you do. And then you go, that chick's kind of hot. I hope I see her titties, and you do. And then I hope they get murdered. Power tools.
Yep.
Sorted. You're done. Fucking wrap it up. I don't know. I didn't even really realize that he was a mass murderer and shit. I was just staring at titties.
Yeah. And that's what we're lacking these days. There's no more tits in films.
No more tits. So I go back to the 80s to get my titties.
Yeah. I mean, you can just go on Pornhub, but 80s horror movies.
No, I want them in the context of a horror movie.
You want blood drippling down those nipples.
That's the only time I can go.
What did you give Slumber Party Massacre?
7.5 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, that's decent.
A Zim plus.
That's cool. That's cool. I dig that movie.
Yeah, it's fun. I'd watch it again.
You got to watch part 2.
Part 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun. I'll say that.
Okay.
All right. Let's stick with slashers for my next one, and this is another one. I'm calling out Donanelli here because I can't remember what episode, but on his Horror Countdown podcast, he mentioned this as one of his favorite whatever subject he was talking about. And this is a movie from 1989 called Intruder.
Intruder. Okay.
So the overnight stock crew of a local supermarket find themselves being stalked and slashed by a mysterious maniac. Once again, it's a slasher film. There are no titties in this. That's the only... That's probably the biggest negative of this movie. But... And here's the thing. Besides the franchise slashers, there aren't very many standalone slashers from the 80s that I absolutely love. There's some that are fun. Slumberhouse... Oh, no, that's the franchise. Like The Prowler. Or The Burning. They're fine. But I don't love them like I love Friday the 13th Part 2. You know?
Yeah.
This one does things differently that I really didn't expect. Firstly, the cinematography in this movie is very interesting. Whoever was the cinematographer for this movie came up with some really unique and different shots that...
Fernando Arguelles.
Is that honestly who it is? Oh, okay. Yeah, he did some really different shots that I appreciated, but he didn't go overboard with them. So I appreciate that. Just weird camera angles that you never see at all. This movie here, and the biggest thing about slasher films is you go in for the boobs and the kills.
Yeah.
This movie has no boobs, unfortunately, but what it does have...
There's a misleading cover.
Let me see the cover. Are you on Letterboxd?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a misleading cover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That girl isn't in the movie. There are no girls with brown hair in this movie, from what I remember. Anyway, this movie here makes up with no boobs with some amazing fucking kills. There are 2 kills in this in particular that had me fucking squirming.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
dude. Like, shit. Look, I've been a horror fan for fucking 30 plus years of my life. And there is shit in this horror movie that I've never seen before.
Okay, I kind of want to watch it.
This movie starts off a bit slow, especially with the kills, but stick with it and you'll be treated with some gore-tastic scenes.
Okay, cool.
But then I got to finish this review up with the story, and this movie ends really clever. And not like clever as in like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but I really liked how it ended. And if you know how Intruder ends, then you know what I'm talking about. I can't obviously spoil anything, but I've never seen a slasher movie end like this before.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I fucking dug this movie, man. It's probably one of my favorite non-franchise slashers. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. That's Intruder from 1989. I just had a good time with this movie.
I'm gonna put it on my like throwbacks list. I'm gonna do like a 2024 and then like a throwbacks
Do
list,
it, man.
You know?
I'd be keen to know what you thought about this movie. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Your next one,
Alright, next one. My last one was Cheerleader Camp from 1988.
Okay, you did not watch the movie that I thought you were going to watch.
What did you think I was going to watch? Or did you watch it and you're going to tell me in a second?
I know. I remember I told you to watch Street Trash.
Oh, I totally forgot.
Okay. Alright, that's cool.
Okay.
So, what was your movie? Cheerleader Camp.
Cheerleader Camp.
From what year?
From 1988.
Okay.
A cheerleader named Allison is plagued by nightmares about the upcoming All-State Finals and attend to summer camp training with her teammates. When a number of deaths start occurring at camp, Allison's nightmares turn twisted and brutal, and she begins to believe that she may be responsible for the mayhem.
Right on.
This had some boobs in it, but I was led to believe this would have more boobs in it. And I just watched Slumber Party Massacre, which is like kind of top tier fucking slasher titties genre.
Yeah.
Right? This was also like, I don't know, opposite of your last movie. I did not dig the cinematography. This felt like it was really greasy, my version, if that makes sense. Like, it had that Vaseline lens. kind of shit on it, and maybe I just had a shitty version, but it just looked awful. And it was one of those, like, horror comedy ones where it just didn't hit.
Right, yep.
And it had, like, a funny fat guy and shit, and it was just not great. Oh, wait, did Slumber Party Massacre have that funny fat guy? No, it was this movie. It was a stupid movie. Yeah, it just wasn't as good. The kills weren't as good. The titties were like in like one scene. And it was meh. The whole thing was meh.
Yeah. Okay.
I gave it a 5 out of 10.
A 5. Alrighty.
Yeah, you could give this one a miss. It's not terrible, but it wasn't that amazing. I don't think
I've even heard of this one. Cheerleader.
It was
Kid.
on Prime.
Yeah, okay.
I watched Slumber Party Massacre, and it was the next one. So I was like, okay.
Right, okay. All right. Well, the last one that I watched is Street Trash from 1987. Story of Street Trash is a group of hobos begin melting into multicolored piles of goo after drinking 60-year-old liquor. At the same time, the psychotic Vietnam War vet who rules the hobo camp snaps and begins killing at random.
God, this does look good.
Two brothers set out to stop the liquor and the killer. This is a you movie. Straight up. I told you to watch this because I'm like, yeah, Luffy will fucking love this.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch The Intruder and Street
Trash. Straight up, I didn't like this movie. At all. The Street Trash is the perfect title for this movie. It's pure trash. In my opinion, this movie is people like it, but it's honestly just disgusting filth. There's rape in this movie with comedic background music while happening. There's necrophilia. There's a football scene with a penis. Every type of body fluid you could think of.
Oh, yes, thank you.
But the story is just like, I went in this movie, it starts off like talking about how this liquor can like melt people, and then it goes off in a completely other random story, and I'm like, what is happening? Where's the fucking liquor story? Is this like an anthology? So I was very confused as to what was happening. That plot synopsis, I should have read that before watching the movie because it kind of makes more sense now, but it's very much a Peter Jackson style film, if you know what I mean. Your type of movie, I think that you would enjoy this movie. I didn't care for it, dude. I really didn't.
I don't think it's going to be like a top 10 or anything, but it looks like fun.
It starts off like the first 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, here we go. This is going to be like Dead Alive. I'm going to love it. And then it just dies down. Okay. And the rape, there's a rape scene in it with like comedic music in it. And I'm like, it's not funny. Rape isn't funny. So yeah, I just did not care for this movie. Apparently they're remaking it this year, but I don't know how, because a lot of stuff in this movie you can't get away with now.
I'll probably figure it out and cut everything interesting
probably
out.
So I gave this movie a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm keen. It's on my list.
I am so curious to know what you think about this movie. So Street Trash from 1987. Right. That's it for you, yeah? Well, we've done it. We've discussed both decades, so now it's time to decide who advances and who goes home. The Decades of Horror fight is here. Oh, nice. So how many decades did how many films did each decade have?
How many films did each decade have, Tim?
The 1960s, according to Wikipedia, had 377. Counted them myself. And the 1980s had not as many as I honestly thought. 655. Okay. Yeah. Like, in comparison to the 70s.
God. It feels like there's so many 80s movies I haven't seen. I feel like there'd be thousands.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is going to suck to count. But, like, the 70s had 555. So we've got exactly 100 more than the 70s. According to Wikipedia, don't quote me. But, yeah. What did the 90s have? The 90s... Okay, so the 90s had 581, so they had less. But, yeah, the 2000s had the most that I counted, with 1,233. So, yeah. Alright, here we go. Question time. Question 1. Which decade had the most influential films? It's the 80s. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, man. For me, it's the 80s. What was more influential than...
I'm going to say so too, because Romero did Night of the Living Dead, right? Which is a 60s movie. But, like, I would say his more influential movies were later on.
So would I. I mean,
like his better movies. I think, you know.
Yeah, Dawn and Day.
Like, don't get me, Night's a banger and stuff, but like, I think as far as more influential stuff, Dawn and Day were much more influential, and they were 80s.
Like, there's definitely influential stuff in the 60s. I mean, Psycho, of course, is hugely influential. Rosemary's Baby is hugely influential. Fucking Carnival of Souls is very influential. But those are like 3.
I feel like it was like a fucking horror revolution.
Exactly.
In the 80s.
Exactly. You cannot deny like the impact the 80s had on especially modern horror.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going 80s too. I was trying to like maybe justify a 60s vote, but I can't.
Yeah. Which decade, question 2, which decade had more enjoyable films? The 80s.
No fucking
dude,
argument.
so many of my favorite films come from the 80s.
Like I said, I was getting annoyed that I couldn't watch more 80s movies because I had to watch stupid 60s movies.
Yeah, I mean, the 60s were a decade in their own, but the 80s just had like the majority of fun films. There weren't that many films in comparison to like there weren't many thinking films. It was more, here's gore, have it, take it.
Yeah, or did something
exactly.
dumb. Here, look.
Which decade had more original and unique films? So this is hard because the 80s had an abundance of sequels compared to the 60s, but they also had a lot more original films.
I'm going to say the 80s because they just had some weird shit.
I'm going to throw a bone here to the 60s. Because, I mean, they started the fucking zombie craze. They started... Many people could say they kind of started the slasher with Psycho. And the 80s did have a lot of sequels. Like, fuck me, there were a lot of sequels. I mean, the 80s did have a lot of original stuff. They did. But there were no retreads. Actually, now thinking about it, they had Hammer Horror, which were just fucking remakes of the 30s.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know. I'm 80s again on this one.
I try to throw a bone for the 60s here. I think it's also like 80s had double the amount of films that the 30s did. The 60s did.
And the 80s was weird. The 80s was when weird people were like making movies.
Yeah. All right. You turn me, I'll go the 80s as well. Fucking hell, this is a bloodbath. All right.
Sorry, 60s. Look, I'm not saying 60s is fucking horrible or nothing.
No. Which decade, next question, which decade had more importance in horror?
Sorry, 60s. 80s for me again. Just horror revolution.
It did, yeah. It really brought horror into the mainstream.
It was just where you could there was a lot more experimentation. There was a lot more. It felt like what was the real life 60s of horror.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, MTV with Freddy Krueger and all that stuff. It really brought horror out.
Yep.
I mean, the 60s did in minimum ways, but the 80s was just All right, last question here, even though it's decided. Which decade do you prefer?
80s.
All right, the score is the 60s with 0 and the 80s with a score of 10.
Clean sweep.
We have the 80s advancing on to the grand finale. So, that leads us to the next episode, which is the grand finale. What we've got here, we've got...
Well, this is a good way just to, like, knock the pre-70s movies out of the bracket.
Pretty
really.
much, yeah. Pretty much. And I think, like... I think most people expected it. But what we've got here is we've got the decades that are still alive.
Except Rob. He's fucking furious.
Yeah,
right
true.
now.
Well, give me a second. I may just hear me out. We've got the 2000s going up against the 1970s, going up against the 1990s, going up against the 2010s, going up against the 1980s. What we're going to do here is we're going to have a complete episode with all these decades coming in for one last battle. In bracket style elimination. Now, there is only 5 decades left, which doesn't add up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring back one decade as a last chance draw. But this goes to you, the listeners. You guys are going to decide out of the 30s, the 50s, the 20s, the 40s, and the 60s, which decade deserves one more shot. And who knows? Who knows? It could go up against something different that may, I don't know, beat it.
Maybe it wins.
Maybe it does.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. But
I think the 30s has a good chance.
I'm hoping for the 30s. I am. Question: out of the decades that have gone, so the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, out of those, which is your favorite?
Between 50s and 30s for me.
Okay, mine's the 30s. Which is your least favorite?
By far the 20s. By far. They were barely movies, dude.
The 20s had some good heavy hitters in it, but I think it's because of the silent era. It was hard to watch. So
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So, yes, we're going to finish up this decade of horror experiment that we've been doing. Next episode, we're going to come in with a winner. And hopefully we'll have a guest on that episode as well if all goes to plan.
Very special guest.
Yeah, she's special to me. And yeah, we're going to come up with a winner. And yeah, hopefully all will be good. So join us on the next episode of the Dummies of Horror to finally find the winner of the Decades of Horror.
Put all this shit to bed.
That is it, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Dummies of Horror. If you want more, we have a Patreon page open. Go to patreon.com/Dummies of Horror. We just released a special episode.
So special.
Which we call Horror Hot Takes, where I give you my most controversial horror opinions. And I know...
And I was also there.
He was there as backup and disagreeing with me all the way through, just like Rob Humphrey would have wished. And also, shout out to you, Rob Hungy, for just being a good soldier and just accepting that Lisa Frankenstein's a great movie.
Probably the best movie.
Yeah, Scott and Heather agree with us. They think that Lisa Frankenstein is also a good movie. Just you, Rob. Anyway, that is it for this episode of the Dummies of Horror.
Mad for no reason.
This episode of the Dummies of Horror. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say. So I'm going to leave you to close this shit out. See you later. Dip!
Sure. Where you come from, what's a jaffle called? So, like, when you get 2 bits of bread and cheese and you, like, toast them together, what's that called? Because there's lots of different names for them. And then, like, what's your favorite cheeses to put on those as well? I like straight cheddar.
2 hours later.
Pretty good one. I know a lot of people use like combinations of cheese and stuff, maybe different breads, but I think just like straight white bread's probably the best. But yeah, be good to each other. Hey, buy someone you care about a present. People like stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next time.